Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to look at the difference in grading on the Note Max and on the Supernote Manta. Now I've told you before that the Note Max is just a powerhouse when it comes to grading just because of its sheer size. And of course the Neo reader on books is outmatched as far as features and tools that you have available. However, the Supernote, although it's a smaller device at 10.65 inches, really shines in its ease and simplicity of use. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to show you the same document on both platforms, show you how I would take those notes, and then show you what the export looks like from each of those. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so here we are with the Note Max here on the left and the Supernote Manta on the right. And the first thing you're going to notice is just how much bigger the screen real estate is on the Note Max versus the Manta. Now, if I was grading with the Manta, I would naturally kind of write smaller, but there are ways also to get around that if I need that bigger space, and we'll go through that here in a minute. Now, what I did is I pulled this same document from the Tab XC, which was the one I used to demo and talk a little bit about how the Tab XC was used for grading and all of that. So there's already marks over here, and I'm not going to go through that right now. What I will do is kind of make sure that when I export these, you'll be able to see the same comparisons, because even though this is showing black and white here right now, this is actually blue is what came over from the Tab XC. So it's important to know that on books, if we go into the pen, we can pick all of our colors. So the colors on books are actually uniform across the platform, which is really kind of cool that you get all of those choices. Now, I tend to just write in blue and I tend to highlight just in yellow. So it's not as big of a use case for me, but for someone who wanted that flexibility and those different color patterns and everything, especially if they were taking it off device, it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a really nice to have. If I long press on here, you'll see I can go here and I can go to annotates, and I get that same annotation that I had. So again, they call it an annotation here on books, but what it really is a PDF embedded comment. So that's really helpful, really useful. And then you can see my handwriting in the margins. Now let's go ahead and look at what that looks like over here on the Supernote. So again, with books, I can hide this toolbar by pressing here, and it goes ahead and hides, and then you can quickly bring that back. So again, I hide it and then you can bring it back. So pretty easy. There you go. You gotta go to this top corner. On the Supernote, you have a similar thing to hide the toolbar, but it's real easy. It's just a double tap. And when you double tap, that goes away. And if you want to hide this along the bottom, you just double tap with one finger, and you'll notice here that my toolbar is collapsed. And then if I ever want to bring it back, I can either press there or I can just double tap again and I get the toolbar back. And then of course I can turn it into a floating toolbar if I'd like, but I tend not to do that. I either have it on or I have it off. So I just go ahead and double tap and it's gone. So now you can see it's a very clean interface. Now the one thing here that I think is worth noting is the Manta also can go easily into landscape. And the nice thing about the landscape here is you see this little kind of guy pointing with a finger here, which is pretty cool because that tells you when I go up on this where my page actually starts and stops. So that's where the half page mark is. So it gives me a lot of a sense of where I'm at. And then when I rotate it, it will go back. And now you can see that these are very similar in size. So it's much easier to read. It's much easier to take notes on. And then of course, if I swipe, I get this component. So if I wanted to make this same notation here, I could have done it just on the regular page, but I could also do it here, and I could put here are some notes, and I make my squiggle. So now there we go. And what's really nice about that is the fact that now when I go to turn this, you'll notice that symmetry is right there and it's all on the same page. Pretty cool. So now if I want to go here, and this is where you start to really notice the issue. This is so much bigger on the left than this is and much more legible. and then I can make the notes. What happens though, if I go ahead, now you'll see that that experience becomes very similar. I still have my margins. They're not quite as big because it's filling more of the page, but I also am cut off a little bit here. So if I wanted to, for example, this is a great example actually, if I want to comment on this paragraph, I would have to do this, and you'll notice it's going to tell me where the actual page break is, but I get the full paragraph. So hopefully that's coming through on camera. And one thing about the Supernote that's very nice as far as being able to embed comments. So for example, I'll bring back my toolbar, and right here you'll see this little selector. And remember, if you go to select on books, and let me show that first, I have to move these handles to decide what I want to select. And see, it's a little fidgety. So now I go into annotate and I can make my annotation and I'm all good. Or I can just leave it as a highlight. Here with Supernote, you get this little tool, and I go ahead and select that. And then now I just drag, and look how fast that is. And now I get my pop-up menu right here, and I can add an embedded comment. I can add this to the digest. I can highlight it. I can copy it. A lot of different things you can do. So what I'm going to do though, I'm going to go ahead and add an embedded comment. And when I do that, there's my comment box, and I can either go ahead and I can go to the typing keyboard and type something in, and go back to the handwriting keyboard. If I had a Bluetooth keyboard enabled on this, or the pass-through from my computer keyboard, I could type directly in here and have it up on a stand. So there's a lot of things I can do. But for the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and write that this is a very good start. And I've got that, and you'll see that comes right through there. This is a very good start. And then I will just go ahead and close that, and I will say save. Now, when I go and press on that again, I still get my pop-up menu of different things I can do, and there you go. So I get this same effect that you get on the Books device, but it's much faster. I hope that came through on camera. So here, remember, you're going to pull, and then you're going to pull. Now that one did it very well, but occasionally you'll get stuck, and it'll be really hard to have that be as fast as this one is. So let's say I want to do just that. It's very quick, very snappy. Now, if I don't do anything with it, then, like let's say I just want to highlight it, and there's my highlight. It works really well. And what's nice here is if I want to replicate what's over here, we'll go back to my pen tool, and I will draw my straight line. You'll see that snapped right in there, and I can put excellent use of sources. Now watch what happens when I change the orientation on this. All of that is still there. And you'll notice that it wouldn't, and what I can do and what I have done before is I draw my line, and it can go across multiple pages. So I'll draw my line first, then I'll rotate, I'll write what I need to on both sides of the imaginary line, and there's no way a student could tell the difference on which device I was using. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. It wasn't meant to be a huge in-depth demo here, but I wanted to show you that. And then what I'm going to show next is what this looks like when you pull this off of the device. So matter of fact, let's go ahead and finish this out. So we've got some similar writing. So we'll put here, this needs work. And we'll underline that, and we'll let our line snap, and there you go. So just to show you that, now to export on these, what you would do for the Supernote is you'll notice the export doesn't show here. So you'll go to more, and then you will go to export and share. Now what's cool now is you can share this actually to Inkhub, or you can share it out. We're going to share it out. So we're going to say vector, and then you'll see that it says all pages, annotated only, or customized. We're going to go ahead and do the whole document. And then here you'll see whether or not you want it to be original. So that'll be your black and white, blue or red. And we all know how I feel about the red pen, so that's never going to happen. So I'm going to say export to blue, and then I'm going to hit the export button. Now what that's done is gone ahead and moved that to my export folder. I'm just going to say, okay, we won't go there because I'll show you what this looks like both on the app and as an exported document. So on Books, what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and press on the page, and then up here you can see share. We're going to say we want to go ahead and push this to Google Drive. So I'll say I wanted to go to Google Drive, and then we'll go ahead and pick a folder here, and we'll just save this to the My Drive folder. This is actually my work folder, so I'm not going to show a bunch of stuff, but I'll pull this over to a different folder once we get it off device. So I'm going to say that I want to go ahead and put it here, and then I'm going to hit select, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit upload. What's going to happen? It's going to save that document, and then I am good to go. And we will go ahead and exit the note. And now we are done. Here, we're already done. So we'll go ahead and exit our note. And in this next step, I will show you what that looks like on the PC. All right, everyone. So here we're going to show you first what this looks like in the Supernote Partner app. Now, I didn't show this in the Books Partner app, or I'm not going to, because it doesn't quite work the same. Primarily because if we wanted to put hyperlinks in here, which I wouldn't do for grading, but any PDF, you could add in and be able to navigate that through the Supernote Partner app. But I did want to show you what it looks like and why it's so functional. So you can see here are the comments I made. When I go to the next one, you can see the highlights. Now, one thing you won't be able to see here are the comments, the embedded comments. But anything I hand wrote is going to show up right here. And I think maybe that might be a note I give to Rada is, can you make it so we can see these comments? Now, I could go ahead and do something with the digest. I could copy, but we won't spend a lot of time on that. If I'd added any star marks or any keywords, again, all of that would be visible here. So it's a really functional piece, but I only wanted to show that for a minute to show you what it would look like as far as the handwriting. So let's go ahead and get out of that. So this is the PDF out of the Supernote. This is what the export did. And you'll see it's very nice, clean lines. The blue I absolutely love. I didn't pick it because they just have their standard blue, but really nice. And if you come down here, you're going to see that same thing. Here's the blue. Here's what I wrote in the margins. And then here you see your little bubble. Now, I opened this in Edge to show that it would work in any Adobe Reader. So it would work in Adobe Acrobat, the free version of the Adobe Reader. It'll open in Chrome. It'll open in Edge. And there's where you can pop up and you can click on it and see very good start. You can also go ahead and add here if you wanted to, because you are in a local file. So you could actually save this back. And you can see there's a little save icon. So pretty cool. Bare bones, but really functional for what I would need to do from a grading perspective to be able to talk to a student and have this conversation. And then here it is on Books. And you'll see there, blue is a little bit more navy, which is absolutely fine. Now, in full disclosure, I do want to let you know that I showed you how to export on the Note Max. Unfortunately, since this file was edited on the Tab XC, when I went to embed the data on the Note Max, it refused. So it would show me, and I think that may just be a glitch in the Books sync and how it happens across devices, something I'll have to explore. So I had to actually get my Tab XC and do the export from there. So again, if you did the writing on the Note Max, I think it would be fine. But since I did it on the Tab XC, I had to export from that device to get it onto Google Drive and make it actually work the way that it was intended. Now you'll notice here, and I don't know if let me zoom in here. You'll notice, at least to me, and I'll let you all make your own judgment, but these are both in the calligraphy pens. And we'll zoom in on this one as well. This writing was done on the Tab XC. This one was done on the Supernote Manta. To me, this looks better. Now, I missed connecting my N here, but that was a me error, not the pen. And then here you'll see that these strokes, and they were both exported in vector, both in blue. Personally, I think the Supernote looks better as far as the handwriting goes. But again, you make your own decision on that. And of course, that is an active versus an EMR pen. You would not have that on the Note Max. So I do want to be very clear. This handwriting was done on the Tab XC. But we can go ahead and go back down here. And again, you can see the handwriting here in the margins, handwriting here at the bottom, and that same bubble here for the comment. So if I click that, I get the same exact pop-up. So to me, this makes this a really functional way to grade on either device. The biggest difference is, do you want to turn the Supernote into that portrait, or do you want to have that larger canvas? But as far as functionality, this is more elegant from the standpoint that it's super simple. You're using a total combined of two tools, really. You're writing, and then you're selecting, and from there you go ahead and comment. With books, you are writing, so the writing is almost identical, the same way it handles it. But then once you do that, instead of getting the comment box and everything at the point of selection, you're having to first drag those handles to get them exactly where you want to go. And then you're having to go into the toolbar, hit the comment box, what they call an annotation, and then go ahead and complete the process. But if you look at this one, I had a few more and then I did some highlights. But again, very similar in the way they work. So just wanted to show you that. Let's go ahead and jump on over. We'll have a couple of concluding thoughts. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there. Hopefully that made some sense and gave you some clarity on why I sometimes just choose to use the Manta for grading, just because of the simplicity of the interface and the way that you can easily access everything you need with basically two tools. So you can use the handwriting, and then you can use the selector tool to go ahead and make those embedded comments. To me, that's a really simple, elegant workflow, and it fits my needs. I don't need all the other bells and whistles. I don't need the dictionary. I don't need AI summaries. I don't need Wikipedia. I don't need translation. So there's so many things that Books has in their toolbar and their toolkit that if you need those, I think it's phenomenal. But for me, the simplicity of this workflow is really, really elegant. Truth be told, though, I sometimes go back to the Note Max, especially on longer papers, so I don't have to constantly flip the orientation of the Supernote. And I just deal with the handlebars and some of the clunkiness that comes along. What does concern me a little bit is the export process that I didn't really fully realize until this video, and that's because I usually stick to one device. So if I'm grading on the Note Max, I grade all of the papers on the Note Max and then do my export from there. If I'm grading on the Tab XC, I do all my grading there and I do my export from there. So I hadn't encountered the issue to where I start grading on one Books device, which was the Tab XC in this case, and then I open that same document on the Note Max, and that data's there. I can see it. I can see the annotations. I can see the comments. I can see the highlights. But when I go to hit embed data into the PDF, it tells me that this document doesn't support that and that it doesn't support sharing. It just comes up with an error saying it can't export embedded data. Well, that's because it's not seeing it because it lives on the Tab XC. I went to the Tab XC, opened it up, hit embed data and export, and it came through like a champ. Absolutely perfect. So I really think that is because it lives on that particular device. So something to talk about with Books, but let me know down in the comments, what do you think? What do you think would be your preferred workflow? The very simple way that I do it in annotating and embedding comments, which one does that better from your perspective? And is the Supernote just too simple when it comes to the way it handles this workflow? Do you need those extra tools? Do you need the AI? Do you need translation? Do you need a global dictionary? Do you need Wikipedia? Do you need to be able to do all of the extra things? And we didn't even go into being able to add links and different things like that because, again, that's not my use case with grading. I don't need to link to something else. If I was doing something much bigger and involved with PDFs, I may link several of them together or several notes together. But this is the use case for grading for me. But again, thank you all so much. Thanks for supporting the channel. You'll see here at the end a list of my patrons and insiders. Thank you all so much for your support. And if you have any questions, any ideas, could I improve this workflow? Can I improve the way this happens? I would always appreciate that. This is a community. I appreciate your input all the time. And until next time, keep on moving forward, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great night. Bye now.